thing that I have learned that I love your inputs in is just because I give to you doesn't mean you're going to give to me.
That's true.
And what I've found with
you
the
may give it to
universe
somebody else, right?
is, we've had some challenges recently with our businesses we were talking about, with some of the structures and the mistakes that we've made. And I'm getting help by several billionaire friends of mine who've been through what I'm going through multiple times. And I don't pay them $10,000 an hour, right?
Yeah.
And so all the free advice and the free help that I've given, I'm now getting from people who could be charging me a fortune.
Right.
And I'm observing how that's happening because I've got three of them.
The synchronicities,
Okay,
yeah.
3 of them that are just saying, John, what do you need?
Yeah.
I'm helping one of them with a personal issue. The other 2 are just helping me.
Right.
And it's just absolutely beautiful to observe. If you pay attention, whatever you're putting out comes back in absolute equilibrium. And I actually feel like more comes back.
It does. It
More
does.
comes back. So I just keep going, okay, here you go. it's like the boomerang. You know, the little kid says, Mom, every time I throw it, it keeps coming back.
Right.
And so that's what I feel is happening.
Right.
And so, that's the other thing that's really good for all the people who are watching is they look at you, they look at you, they look at me, and say, oh, everything works out perfectly in their life. Every moment is perfect. And we have challenges.
Right.
And we have challenges. And the question is, then what? So you've got the challenge, then what? Right? So it's okay to feel about it, as we're talking about. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do to move through it? And we're all facing a real interesting time in our lives, in our businesses. It's affecting everything. And so the question is, what do you do? Are you going to sit on the sidelines and watch? Right? Are you going to be on the field and play? And I think for me is let's get on the field. Let's get dirty. Let's play. Let's get a little hurt. Let's recover. Get back on the field and play some more.
Well, and it's so interesting as you say that, John. When times are tight, when things are tough, then there's a tendency for people to pull in and say, I need to receive, because I don't have so much right now. I need to receive. And yet, in order to move that whole process forward, it really requires us to begin by giving, what you were talking about, right? In fact, I would say that the harder the times, the more that's the time to find who can we serve, who can I help, who can I assist, who can I support. It doesn't mean I have to give money, or that I necessarily have to be paid money for what I'm doing, but how can I support and serve and help others? Particularly, we all know when we feel miserable, the quickest way to get out of feeling miserable is go to find someone who's even more miserable and help them.
Give them
When you support them, help them, allow them to begin to wake up to the beauty of who they are. It's amazing the transformation that it has on your own life. And what you were saying, I just have to mention this because I so loved the way Buckminster Fuller talked about it. What you were saying is that when you give, it doesn't necessarily mean that it comes back from the person you're giving to. He created this.
That's a trade.
Right,
That's a trade.
That's not, yeah, right.
That's a trade.
That's
yes,
a trade.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were taught as kids, well, if I give you something, what are you giving me?
Right.
Right? And so let
That's
me
right.
interrupt you. But
No. You're right. That's
Yeah.
a trade.
Yeah.
And Fuller talked about the whole concept of precession in nature.
Yeah.
The word that he used, and the example he gave is a bee would go from flower to flower to flower, and the bee's looking to get the honey, right? The bee's looking to, but what happens is the bees in the flower is this pollen gets rubbed off, and then the bee goes to the next flower, and the pollen rubs off on that flower, and so that cross pollinates so that those flowers can reproduce and grow, and the bee has no concept, right? No idea that the bee's just going about what it's interested. Yeah, wants the honey, wants to get that thing, right? But get that nectar, and yet by doing that, and this is what we mean by giving your own unique
serving
gifts.
all the flowers, right?
When the bee is just giving its unique gifts, if you will, by finding the nectar. When you give your unique gifts, then that process of precession, the results are what I think you were talking about, John, that the results go far beyond what you could have imagined because the precessionary effects are so much more powerful than the direct giving, the direct action that you create.
He talks about Buckminster Fuller. Most people don't know what I just learned recently was that at the end of every month, whatever money Bucky had, so he knows, he gave it away.
Yeah.
He said if the universe is abundant, which he believes it was, and it is,
Yeah.
he gave all the money away, and they said, okay, now let's give enough service that we have an abundance of money again.
Right.
Wow.
So he just kept replenishing from the source.
Yeah.
and he made a lot of money.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And one of our mutual friends, I'm sure you know Marshall Thurber, was with Buckminster Fuller at that time, would help him at the end of the month to distribute the money. And he said sometimes it was millions of dollars. And Bucky would say, okay, where are we going to give it this month, you know?
Kept coming in.
And he said, what I know is that nature will always provide, the universe will always provide, and often only in the nick of time.
Yeah. The story I like about that is that, I think when they searched through Andrew Carnegie's legacy in his desk after the process of him creating all the money with the steel and all the distribution around the world, he had two goals in there. One was to make as much money as he could till the middle of his life, and at the end of his life, last half of his life, to give it away. And then after that, after he had made all the money he would, and he tried to give it away, he could not. It just kept coming back to him more. Everything that he kept giving out, right?
That boomerang again.
Just that boomerang. He could not
That's
give away
interesting.
anything. Yeah. So that was great. That's a great story. So.
What's interesting is, nature does what she does maximally efficiently, on time, every time, no exceptions.
Right.
When you say that again, I think that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Nature does what she does maximally efficiently, on time, every time, no exceptions.
Absolutely.
It appears to be like there's errors. Like right now, there's a lot of talk of recession. It's not a recession. It's a reorganization.
Right.
Right.
It's a reorganization. If we go to Ilya Prigogine, 1977 Nobel Peace Prize winner,
Sure.
he won a Nobel Peace Prize for chaos theory.
Right.
Right, and what he discovered is every living organism goes through chaos, then order, then chaos, then order, then chaos, then order. And at that point, think about water at 211 degrees, it's hot water. At 212, it boils. That 1 degree, that's called a bifurcation point.
Right.
That's where it converts.
Right.
Guess what? A lot of us, individuals, human beings, are going through that bifurcation point. And we're going to learn something new, evolve, grow, and in the middle of it, it is painful and it's uncomfortable. It's no differently than any metamorphosis of any creature.
And if we do our job well, we actually make people uncomfortable. In fact, because that's what their transitionary process is to get into their next level. And what we do is we create new and bigger and better versions of ourselves to the next place, to the next bigger image, to the next strength that we give something else to. So as we get bigger, we give that boomerangs to everybody else around us in a processionary way as well. And that whole process is just something that I believe has a place where the love of that situation ends up, giving that transition into the next step, and then that becomes a greater awakening and a greater awakening, and it just keeps unfolding to newer and better and bigger versions of ourselves as to whatever that next image is. And that's what we do. We just create this experience for another version of ourselves.